The impossible arrival. The sensors screamed their warnings across the galactic monitoring station Epsilon 7, and Commander Varix knew immediately that something was terribly wrong. His compound eyes darted across multiple holographic displays as his forearms worked frantically at the control panels. For 800 years, the quarantine sector had remained empty, silent, and utterly lethal. Nothing entered that cursed region of space. Nothing survived if it tried, yet there it was, displayed across his primary screen with crystalline clarity. A vessel sat peacefully in the heart of the sector, exactly where nothing should exist. Varix felt his chitinous exoskeleton tingle with dread as he initiated a full diagnostic sequence. The sensors had to be malfunctioning. They had to be. But the diagnostics returned clean results, and the impossible vessel remained on his screens. Solid and undeniable. His communication officer, a young Therian female named Kiris, turned toward him with her luminescent eyes wide with confusion. "Commander, I have run the scans 3 times. The readings are consistent. There is definitely a ship in Sector 9 of the quarantine zone." Varix stood from his command chair, his legs clicking against the metal floor as he approached the main viewing screen. "Magnify and analyze. I want full specifications on that vessel immediately." The image expanded, revealing a ship unlike anything in the extensive galactic database. It measured approximately 300 meters in length, with a hull design that seemed almost primitive in its angular construction. The vessel was painted in dark gray with white markings along its side. Strange symbols decorated the hull, including what appeared to be a flag showing stars arranged in a pattern against blue fabric. With red and white stripes below. The environmental readings from that sector made Varix's blood run cold. Radiation levels measured at 73,000 rads, enough to cook any known species within minutes. Gravitational anomalies warped space itself in unpredictable patterns. Exotic particles that could disintegrate molecular bonds floated freely through the region. And those were just the natural hazards. The ancient automated defense systems that had been installed there centuries ago still functioned, waiting to destroy any intruder. "Commander, we are receiving an automated identification signal from the vessel." Kiris worked at her console, her translator matrix processing the incoming data. The ship identifies itself as the USS Horizon. Registration number HSC 1247. It belongs to something called the United Human Space Command. Humans. Varix accessed the Galactic Registry, searching for information. The entry was brief and unremarkable. Humanity had achieved faster-than-light travel only 73 years ago. They occupied a small region of space in the outer sectors, far from the established trade routes. Their technology was classified as primitive level, barely capable of crossing their own star system efficiently. They had made minimal contact with other species, mostly through trade at border stations. There was absolutely no reason a human vessel should be in the quarantine sector, and even less reason it should still be intact. How did they get there? Varix demanded. Check for any recent travel signatures, jump trails, anything that would explain their arrival. Kiris worked quickly, her fingers dancing across her controls. "Commander, there are no travel signatures. No engine trails, no jump residue, no quantum disturbance patterns. According to our sensors, the vessel simply appeared 27 minutes ago. One moment the sector was empty, the next moment the ship was there. Ships do not simply appear." Varix moved closer to the screen, studying the human vessel with growing concern. "Can we establish communication?" "We can try, but sir, you know the protocols. The quarantine sector has been forbidden territory since the War of Ashes. If something is in there, perhaps we should contact the Council before making direct communication." Varix considered this. The protocols were clear. Any activity in the quarantine sector required immediate reporting to the Galactic Council. but the Council chambers were 14 light-years away. Even with priority channels, it would take hours to convene an emergency session. Meanwhile, these humans sat in the deadliest region of known space, apparently unaware of the danger surrounding them. Open a channel. Varix decided, if they are in distress, we have a moral obligation to warn them before they are destroyed. Kiris established the communication link, adjusting frequencies to match the primitive protocols the human ship was using. Static crackled through the speakers, then a voice emerged. It was deep and calm, speaking in sounds that the translation matrix took a moment to process properly. Galactic Monitoring Station. This is Captain Marcus Webb of the USS Horizon. We read your hailing frequency. Thank you for making contact. We could use some navigation assistance if you have a moment. Varix grabbed the communicator with one of his upper hands. Captain Webb, this is Commander Varix. You are in extreme danger. You have entered what we call the quarantine sector. This region has been marked as absolutely forbidden for 8 centuries. The environmental conditions alone should have destroyed your vessel instantly. How are you still alive? There was a pause. Then Captain Webb responded with what sounded like confusion in his voice. Quarantine sector? Our navigation charts show this region as unexplored space. As for the environmental conditions, yes, we are reading elevated radiation and some gravitational fluctuations, but nothing our standard shielding cannot handle. Is this area particularly dangerous for your species? Varix felt his mandibles click together in disbelief. Standard shielding. The human said standard shielding, as if surviving 73,000 rads was a normal occurrence. Captain Webb, our most advanced military vessels can withstand perhaps 15,000 rads before critical systems failure. Your ship is in an environment 5 times more lethal, and you described your shielding as standard? Well, Commander, we do operate near several pulsars in our home system. Our commercial mining vessels routinely work in high radiation environments. We just layer our magnetic deflection grids and use composite ceramic plating. Basic stuff, really. Is your technology not capable of similar protection? Basic stuff. Varix exchanged glances with Kiris, who looked equally stunned. Captain Webb, what exactly is your mission in this sector? We are on a deep space exploration assignment. Our mission is to map uncharted regions and catalog any unusual phenomena. We detected some interesting quantum fluctuations in this area and decided to investigate. We have been taking readings for the past 20 minutes. Fascinating stuff, actually. The gravitational anomalies here are unlike anything in our databases. Varix felt as though reality itself was shifting around him. The humans were treating the quarantine sector like a casual research opportunity. They were taking readings and cataloging data in a place where entire fleets had been annihilated. Captain Webb, you need to understand the severity of your situation. This sector was quarantined after the War of Ashes, a conflict that nearly destroyed galactic civilization. Ancient automated defense systems still operate here. They activate when they detect unauthorized vessels. You have perhaps minutes before those systems target you. Asterisk defense systems? Captain Webb's voice maintained its calm tone. Commander, we appreciate the warning. Our tactical systems have detected several dormant structures in the vicinity. We assumed they were ancient satellites or debris. Are you saying these structures are active weapons platforms? Yes, Captain. They are weapons capable of destroying battlecruisers. They do not discriminate, they do not negotiate, and they have functioned autonomously for centuries. You must leave immediately. Before Captain Webb could respond, alarms erupted across the monitoring station. Kiris shouted from her console, her voice filled with panic. Commander, massive power signatures detected throughout the sector. The ancient defense grid is activating. Multiple weapons platforms coming online. They are targeting the human vessel. Varix watched in horror as his screens lit up with threat indicators. Orbital platforms that had drifted dormant for 800 years suddenly blazed with power. Weapon ports opened like the eyes of awakening predators. Energy readings climbed to catastrophic levels. Asterisk, Captain Webb, evacuate now. The defense systems are active and targeting you. You have seconds before they fire. Understood, Commander. The human captain's voice remained steady. We are detecting the power buildup. Interesting energy signature, similar to concentrated particle beam technology. We are raising full defensive shields and preparing evasive maneuvers. Horizon crew, battle stations. Vrix could only watch helplessly as the ancient weapons charged. Beams of destruction that had obliterated countless ships began to fire, lancing through space toward the small human vessel that had somehow survived what nothing else could. The quarantine sector, silent for centuries, erupted into violence once more. Asterisk. When humanity doesn't back down, the first energy beam cut through space like a blade of pure destruction, moving at nearly the speed of light toward the USS Horizon. Varix watched his screens with the resignation of someone about to witness inevitable tragedy. He had seen recordings of these weapons in historical archives. Nothing survived their touch. The beam would punch through the human ship's hull like tissue paper, vaporizing everything inside before the crew even knew they were dead. But the beam never penetrated the hull. Instead, something impossible happened. The concentrated energy struck an invisible barrier around the horizon and scattered. Not absorbed, not deflected at a gentle angle, but actually shattered into dozens of smaller beams that sprayed harmlessly into space like water hitting stone. The human ship rocked slightly from the impact, but remained completely intact. Commander, what just happened? Kiri stared at her displays in absolute shock. That weapon generates 47 terawatts of focused energy. Nothing should be able to disperse that kind of power. Varix couldn't answer. He was too busy watching as 3 more ancient platforms fired simultaneously. Again, the beams struck the horizon's shields. Again, the energy scattered and dissipated. The human vessel was shaking more noticeably now, but its hull showed no damage whatsoever. Captain Webb's voice came through the communication channel, still remarkably calm, despite being under attack by weapons that could annihilate planets. Commander Varix, we are taking hits, but shields are holding at 73% capacity. These weapons are quite powerful, but we have encountered similar technology before. We are returning fire now. Returning fire? Varix felt his legs nearly give out beneath him. The humans were going to fight back against systems that had been considered invincible for 8 centuries. Small ports opened along the horizon's hull, and projectiles launched toward the ancient platforms. They moved at incredible velocity, leaving trails of superheated plasma in their wake. When the first projectile struck its target, the explosion was spectacular. The ancient platform, armored with alloys that had resisted degradation for millennia, simply tore apart. Metal fragments spun away into space as secondary explosions rippled through the structure. What kind of weapons are those? Varix demanded, unable to tear his eyes from the spectacle. Kiris worked frantically at her console, analyzing the data. Commander, they appear to be using kinetic projectiles. Solid slugs of dense metal accelerated to extreme velocities using electromagnetic rails. The impact force is enormous, equivalent to small tactical nuclear devices. Kinetic weapons? But those are ancient technology. We abandoned that approach thousands of years ago in favor of energy-based systems. Apparently, the humans did not. And Commander, they are devastatingly effective. Indeed, they were. The Horizon continued its assault with methodical precision. Each shot found its target. Each impact destroyed or crippled an ancient platform. The human ship moved through space with surprising agility for its size, dodging some attacks while its shields absorbed others. Within 5 minutes, 7 of the ancient defense platforms had been reduced to debris. Varix realized he was watching a fundamental shift in galactic understanding. Humanity had arrived in the worst possible place with supposedly primitive technology, and they were winning a battle that should have been impossible. Captain Webb, how are you accomplishing this? Varix asked, his voice filled with a mixture of awe and disbelief. Commander, these platforms are powerful but predictable. Their targeting systems are ancient, probably relying on simple vector calculations. Our tactical AI can anticipate their firing patterns after observing just 2 attack sequences. As for our weapons, kinetic projectiles have advantages that energy weapons don't. They cannot be deflected by magnetic fields. They don't dissipate over distance, and they deliver all their energy on impact. We learned these lessons fighting in asteroid fields and debris zones around our home system. Before Varix could respond, another alarm cut through the command center. This one was different, more urgent. Pyrrhus turned toward him with her eyes wide with new fear. Commander, we are receiving a distress signal. It's coming from inside the quarantine sector, approximately 40,000 kilometers from the human ship's position. A distress signal? From inside the sector? Who would be insane enough to enter that region? Pyrrhus accessed the signal information. It's a Council science vessel, the research ship Meridian. They entered the sector 6 days ago on a special authorization mission to study the anomalies. We lost contact with them 4 days ago. Their emergency beacon just activated. Varix felt his heart sink. 6 days ago, the Council Science Division had requested permission for a brief survey mission into the outer edges of the quarantine sector. The request had been approved with extreme reluctance, and only because the Meridian was supposed to remain at the very boundary of the region. But something had clearly gone wrong. The ship had penetrated deeper into the sector and had been trapped there for days. How many crew members? Varix asked quietly. 17 scientists and support staff. The beacon indicates they have life support failures and cannot evacuate. Commander, they have perhaps 3 hours of breathable atmosphere remaining. The command center fell silent. Everyone understood the implications. Sending a rescue mission into the quarantine sector would be suicide. Even if they could reach the Meridian, they would never survive long enough to evacuate the crew. The scientists were already dead. They just didn't know it yet. Captain Webb's voice broke the heavy silence. Commander Varix, we are receiving that distress signal as well. Do you have rescue vessels en route? Varix closed his eyes briefly. Captain Webb, we do not. Any rescue attempt would result in the loss of both the rescue team and the original crew. The Council's policy in such situations is to monitor and record for future prevention protocols. You mean you are going to let them die? There was no judgment in Webb's voice, just simple clarification. Captain, we have no choice. We cannot save them without losing more lives in the attempt. Another pause, longer this time. Then Captain Webb spoke with quiet determination. Commander, we have a choice. The horizon is already in the sector, and our shields have proven effective. We are going to attempt the rescue. Captain, no. You have survived this long through a combination of superior technology and fortunate circumstances. But the deeper regions of the sector are even more dangerous. The gravitational anomalies will tear your ship apart. With respect, Commander, we didn't come out here to run away when people need help. That's not how humanity operates. We are setting course for the Meridian now. Horizon out. The communication channel closed, and Varix watched as the human ship changed its heading. It moved toward the heart of the quarantine sector, toward the densest concentration of hazards, toward certain death if the predictions of galactic science held true. But as Varix was learning, Galactic science had been wrong about many things when it came to humanity. The horizon navigated through gravitational wells that should have crushed it. Its shields flared constantly as radiation bombarded the hull from all directions. Twice more, ancient defense platforms activated and attacked. Twice more, a human vessel destroyed them without sustaining critical damage. The ship moved with purpose and determination, never hesitating, never turning back. 30-7 minutes after changing course, the horizon reached the research ship Meridian. The Council vessel was barely functional, its hull scarred by radiation exposure, its systems failing one by one. Varix watched as the horizon maneuvered alongside the crippled ship with remarkable precision, despite the violent gravitational distortions around them. Commander Varix. This is Captain Webb. We have established a docking connection with the Meridian. Beginning crew evacuation now. Kiris monitored the operation with intense focus. Commander, they are using some kind of flexible docking tube that can adapt to the Meridian's damaged airlock. It's working. They are bringing the science crew aboard. The rescue took 18 minutes. 18 minutes during which the horizon maintained its position in the most hostile environment imaginable. 18 minutes during which every member of Varix's command center staff watched in silence, hardly daring to breathe. Finally, Captain Webb's voice returned. Evacuation complete. All 17 crew members are aboard the horizon. Some require medical attention, but all will survive. We are setting course out of the sector now. Commander, you might want to have medical teams standing by at your station. Varix found his voice after several attempts. Captain Webb, we will have medical support ready. Captain, what you just did was beyond extraordinary. You saved lives that we had already declared lost. The Council will hear of this. We were just doing our job, Commander. Besides, we got some excellent scientific data during the rescue operation. This sector is fascinating. The quantum fluctuations alone could advance our understanding of faster-than-light physics by decades. Fascinating. The humans found the deadliest region of known space fascinating. Varix realized that the galaxy had been fortunate that humanity had emerged in a peaceful era. If they had appeared during the War of Ashes, or any of the great conflicts, the balance of power would have shifted dramatically. 2 hours later, the horizon emerged from the quarantine sector completely intact. The rescued science crew was transferred to the monitoring station's medical facility. Council officials were already demanding a full report. Emergency sessions were being convened across multiple star systems. But Varix's attention was drawn to his long-range sensors. New contacts were appearing at the edge of the sector. More human vessels, dozens of them, emerging from faster-than-light travel. They formed a loose perimeter around the quarantine sector, their sensors active and scanning. Commander, we are receiving a transmission from the approaching fleet. Kiris looked up from her console. It's from an Admiral Chun of the Human Space Command. She is requesting permission to enter the sector with a full expedition fleet. She says humanity is very interested in exploring this region and establishing a research outpost. Varix could only stare at the screens, showing the growing human presence. The galaxy had spent 8 centuries avoiding the quarantine sector, treating it as a monument to ancient danger and a reminder of limits that should not be crossed. Humanity had arrived and decided those limits were merely suggestions. Grant them permission, Varix said finally, and send a priority message to the Galactic Council. Tell them everything has changed. Tell them humanity has arrived, and we need to reconsider everything we thought we knew about what was possible. As human ships began moving into the sector that had been forbidden for centuries, Varix understood that the galaxy had just become a much smaller place. The barriers that had defined safe space for generations were falling, and humanity, with their brutal efficiency and incomprehensible resilience, was leading the way into regions others had feared. The age of caution was ending. The age of humanity was beginning. Asterisk.